All right. Headquarters of the Army Soldier Manual Training Guide, MOS 92F Petroleum Specialist Skill Levels 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. STP Standard Training Publication 1092 515 SMTG. Distributed, approved for public release, distributed unlimited. Um, MOS skill level tasks, special subject area, tank vehicles, subject area 2. Subject area 2, tank vehicles, before patrolling railway car operations, 101 92F 92F 1207. Given the requirements to load unload petroleum products from a railway tanker cart in fields of environment, the soldier assigned in the Class 3 section must load unload petroleum railway tanker cars without injury to personnel or damage to equipment, pollution of the environment. The personnel and materials required to perform the task for military occupational specialists or MOS qualified 92F soldiers to assist the loading facility, pump, glosser, coupling, fire extinguisher, split containers, unit standing operating procedures on fueling operations, risk management procedures available for military safety data sheets, personal protective equipment, PPE, such as hearing, eye protection, and gloves, facility plant response plan, spill prevention control, countermeasures, SPCC plan, and oil discharge contingency plan, ODCP, if required, full access to all applicable references, materials, standards, load, unload petroleum railway cars without injury or to personnel or damage to the equipment or pollution to the environment. Danger, do not perform this task during an electrical storm within 3-mile radius. Failure to perform the task correctly may result in damage to the equipment, of the injury or death of personnel. Caution: before performing this task, read and comply with the appropriate material safety data sheet. Note: in the task, within any task involving an extensive handling of the petroleum products, make sure the equipment is on hand and clean up spill and contain and clean up spills. Unpack, inspect, and position the equipment convenient to access before beginning the task. Review the requirements before performing the task. Ensure the drip plans, wasteful containers, appropriate size to contain the wasteful full generated by the task. Use the drip pans at any point of the spill that is likely to occur, such as valves or nozzles. Continually observe the equipment and take care while the performing tasks. Continually observe the equipment taking care of performing tasks while minimizing possibility petroleum spill. If the spill occurs, immediately stop operations, stop and contain and clean up the spills, report and spills immediately to the supervisor loading a railway car. Applying to the risk management, understand the execute a high-risk management process, risk controls, and command guidance directed by the headquarters. Assess variable hazards continuously. Reports risk and risk reduction measures as appropriate by the chain of command. 3. Employ environmental stewardship protection program measures according to the 101 92F 1413. Read and understand unit installation standing operation procedures under the order. Or operations ordered OPORD requires the requisition, storing, handling, and disposing of hazardous material. 4. Wear appropriate personnel protective equipment as required before, during, and after the operations. Prevent maintenance checks and services on system components according to the appropriate technical manuals. To note the DA Form 2404 Equipment Inspection and Maintenance Sheet Worksheet and DA Form 59888E Equipment Inspection Maintenance Worksheet EGA. Any faults found while performing the preventive management maintenance check services. Perform primarily procedures for loading railway tanker car. Sample gauge product transferred to a tank car. Take American Petroleum Institute gravity. See the section 101 92F 1409 and temperature of the product. Visually inspect the product of the color assurance in section 101 92F 1403. Correct volume of 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Temperature. See that 101 92F and 1409. Record and volume accumulated shipping documents according to D pamphlet 710-22 and provide that their supervisor. The preventive maintenance check services unload equipment such as pumps, hoses, pipelines, and manifolds. Note: placing the pump unit at least 50 feet from the tanker car. Attaching ground cables between track rails to be grounded in post rod. Make sure the cable's connections are securely made to the metal-to-metal contact. Position the car so that it will be no unnecessary strain of the hose connections. Attach the ground cable from the rack of the tank car. Make sure the cable connections are secure to make the metal contact. Set the brake and block wheels at the tank of the car to keep it from moving during the loading and unloading operations. Set and lock derails. Place side reading stop. Place the sign reading stop tanker car connected between cars less than 25 feet or 50 is better ahead behind the tanks. Place sign where they can be seen in screw switches by switch screws. Place sign where they can be seen by switch screws. 25 feet to 50 feet is better behind the tanker car. Stop tanker car connected. Please read sign. Please, at least 2 extinguishers near the railroad tanker car with an easy operation. Check the rail tanker car to ensure the free contamination in good operation condition. If a tanker car manifold is used, bond and tanker shell. If the other car is using a sight, attach the derails ahead of the side of the bypassing, preventing other cars from backing into the railway tanker car during the transfer operation. Check that all the tanker cars are major components and supply point are bonded and grounded. Place no smoking sign in the area where there can be easily seen. Check the hoses and fitting should be used in operation for servability. Replace hose and fittings with potential causes of leak. Caution: the personnel protective equipment such as face shields, goggles, and chemical protective gloves is identified in applicable references and material safety data sheets. Ground yourself and placing on the tank of the hand holding of the rack ladder. Note that even if the extreme cold weather, using ground rod to bond yourself to the rail car. Raise the safety valve to release the internal pressure. If you have the tanker car with a screw tab cover, place the bar upon the cover lug and the cover lug in the dome knob. Unscrew and cover to the complete. 8 turns until its vent openings are exposed. If you have a tank with a hinge and bolt cover, loosen bolt the nuts enough to let out the pressure. Q. Open the manhole dome cover standing on the windward side of the transporter. Clean all direct cinders from all around the opening. Inspect the tank to make sure that all outlets are in good working condition. Check the position of the valve of the rod handle. Check to ensure that the wooden cone should stopper on the hand to plug out bottom outlet of the tanker car emergency. Caution: protective personal equipment such as goggles, faces, shields, and chemical protective gloves. Hearing protection is identified in the applicable reference to the material safety data sheet. 7. Loading a railway tanker car from the bottom through the bottom outlet. Before, during, and after operations of a preventive maintenance check services on the pumps into operation. Place the pump at the unit at least 50 feet from the tanker car. Place a drainage tub around the bottom outlet. Ensure that the bottom of the outlet is properly seated. Remove the bottom of the outlet cap. Let any of the product trapped into the outer chamber flow into the drain tub. Open the outlet and let any residual product into the tank drain in the drain tub. Attach the tanker car to the elbow Gosler coupling to the tank or car, and connect the discharge to either the elbow Gosler coupling and standing on the windward side of the dome and signal where the car is full. Okay, open valve and route of the top tank to allow the fuel to enter the bottom. Recheck all hoses and fittings of the potential areas and leakage. Open the bottom outlet valve and the rank all tanker car values and supply sources. Open suction valve at 350 gallons per minute. 350 gallons per million of the pump. Open discharge valve on the pump. Increase the speed to operating speed. Observe the rail tanker car as it filling in to avoid spilling overfilling. When the 3/4 reduced speed of the pump continue filling the car, it is not full mark and fill it to the top of the tank shell. Note that on your head inside the dome of the rail. Put your head inside the dome of the rail of the tank car. Observe the pump hose system for the leaks and spills of the rail tank car is filling. Stop operations immediately if a spill or leak occurs. Take steps to stop a leak and correct problem causing leak immediately. Clean up spills immediately. Report all spills to the supervisor. 8. Loading a railway tanker car through the dome. Top load in emergencies. The company commander may authorize a top loading following all site preparation procedures listed on the performance measure 4 above. Put the end of the pump discharge hose through the dome until it almost touches the bottom of the tank. Ensure that there is no more strain and there necessary on the hose. Stand on windward side of the dome to observe the filling process. Follow the procedures performed in measure FH and FP above as applicable to top loading. Handling loading hoses carefully with withdrawing it from the tank to avoid spills. 9. Perform after operations procedures when railway tanker car is loaded. Let product stand for 15 minutes, then perform a sample engaging procedure taking an API gravity. See the tag. Ask 10192 F1409 temperature of the product. Virtually inspect product of the cooler and appearance of C section 10192 F1403. Correct the volume of the 60 degrees F temperature C section 10192 F1409. Record the volume of the accountability ship documents according to DAPAM 71022. Provide the data to the supervisor. Replace the bottom outlet cap. Performance steps. C. Remove the drain tub. 8. D. Close the lock dome cover. Disconnect the bonding grounding equipment. Place identification seal on the dome cover. Record the seal number of all shipping papers. Remove the flammable residue placard from the tank of the car and replace with a flammable placard according to the Title 49 Code Federal Regulations 172-500. Remove the B rails, remove the brakes, and remove the rail tanker car from the issue point of unloading the railway tanker car. 10. Performing preliminary procedure for unloading a railway tanker car. Performing the preventive maintenance center service maintenance checklist service on equipment such as pumps, filter separators, hoses, manifolds, valves, fittings to see if the cleaning of the good working in order. Place the pump at least 50 feet of the tank of the car. Check the storage and cleaning to ensure that there is enough under utilage to receive the product in the position of the tanker car. Lock the brake, then the block wheels. Stop the tanker car connected single signs at least 25 from each of the end of each of the unloading of the railway tanker car. Set and lock the rails to prevent the other tanker cars from rolling in the unloading tanker car. Check the seal's number against the shipping papers to ensure that you have received the right shipment. Look at the seal. Look very carefully for the signs tampering and pilferage. Report any tampering or pilferage immediately. Open safety limit valve to release the internal pressure of the railway tanker car. If the safety valve is not working, high pressure may develop in the tanker car. In the hot weather, it may if it permits, relieve the pressure by letting the car cool overnight. Realizing the pressure by ventilating allows product to vaporize. If it can also cause a fire hazard. Open the manhole dome and the covers of the windward side. Gauge tank the API gravity test. Record the temperature of the product. See the section 10192 F1409. Correct the volume of the volume to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Conduct the visual inspection of the product. Record the volume accountability shipping documents of the DPAM 71022. Provided that the data of the supervisor bound and ground rails, rack stand, railway tanker car, all the major components in the transfer of the storage area. L. Place 2 extinguishers near the railway tanker car within sight as easy reach. Check spill control cleanup materials for serviceability. Place them with easy reach of the system. 11. Unloading a railway tanker car from the bottom outlet. Ensure that the bottom outlet is seated in turn value of the rod in the hand of the wheel in the clockwise direction. Place the drainage head under the valve. Loosen the bottom out of the cap of the 2 turns. Allow trap product to drain the drainage tub. Remove the bottom outlet and connect the pump suction hose into the bottom outlet of the railway tanker car. Attach the tanker car elbow gulser coupling to the tanker car. F. Connect the discharge hose from the pump into their elbow and Gosler coupling. Standing on the top of the railway tanker car, watch the level of the fuel during discharge process. Recheck all hoses and fittings of the potential leakage areas. Correct any of the form profound. Open the bottom of the valve of the tank of the car, suction valve of the pumps, and assembly. J. Perform the during and after the operations of the preventive maintenance check services on the pump. Place the pumping at least 50 feet from the tanker car. Start the pump and let it idle. Open the discharge valve of the pumping assembly, the increasing open operating speed. Observe the pump and the hose system. If the leak spill as a railway tanker car is unloaded, stop operation immediately. If a spill or leak occurs when the railway tanker car is empty, let the pump drain from the suction line. The idle pump for 3 to 5 minutes before shutting it off. Close the valves on the receiving tank of the prior to shutting down the pump. Close the valve on the pump in the railway tanker car. Unloading railway tanker car from the dome. Unloading the dome only with the absolute necessary. Unload the dome must be authorized by the company commander. Performing preliminary tasks with performance at measure 8. Place suction hose through the dome so that it touches the bottom of the tank. Put the pump in the operation described in performance 9. Ensure the hoses remain before the surface of the product unloading. When the car is almost empty, move the hose around to draw all production of the car. Dumping the pump. During the pumping operation, observe the hose and connections for leaks. If you see a leak, immediately stop the operation and correct it. Clean up the spills. Immediately report spills to the supervisor. Perform after operations procedures for the railway tanker car. Disconnect the hoses, replace the bottom outlet cover, close the lock and dome, change the flammable cards to flammable plaque cards to flammable residue plaque cards in Title 49 CFR 172-500. Remove stop tanker car connected signs, disconnect bonding ground equipment, remove the derails, release the breaker, remove the railway tanker car from the transfer area. Evaluation preparation. See the task of the condition and standards for the material safety data sheet on all safety equipment. Apply and risk management procedures, go or no go. Employ an environmental stewardship protection program measuring according to the Ask 10192F 1413. 1413. Read and understand unit installation, standing operation procedure, or operation order requirements for requisition, storing, handling, and disposing of the hazardous material. War appropriate personnel protective equipment as required, go or no go. Loading on a railway tanker car. Perform before, during, and after operation preventive maintenance checks and services on system components according to the appropriate technical manuals noted in the DA Form 2404 equipment inspection maintenance worksheet and the DA Form 598 AAE equipment inspection maintenance worksheet. E.g., any of the any faults found on the performing the preventive maintenance checklist check services. Go or no go. Perform preliminary procedure for loading the railway car. Go or no go. Loading the railway tanker car from the bonding outlet. Go or no go. Loaded railway tanker car from the dome. Go or no go. Performed after operation procedures when the railway tanker is loaded. Go or no go. Perform preliminary procedures from the unloading railway tanker car. Go or no go. Unloading railway tanker car from the outlet. Go or no go. Unloaded railway tanker car from the dome. Go or no go. Performed after operation procedures when the railway tanker car. Go or no go. Evaluation scores of the soldier go if performance measures are passed. Score the soldier no go and performance and measures that failed. Soldier scores a no go. The soldier soldier what was done wrong and how to do it correctly. More reference required Field Manual 1067-1 and related to PAM 7710 22 Field Manual 3 112 104 TM 10 4320 343 14 TM 54930 23710 TM 92320 27910 1. Petroleum waterborne operations. Okay. Given the requirements to perform the waterfront fueling operation, field environment, personal materials required to perform the task, 3 military occupational specialists qualified in the N2F5, soldiers, assistance, fuel sources, firefighting equipment, waterborne barges, tankers, drip pans, absorbent materials, spill container floating booms, chemical disbursement, skim boats, risk and management procedures, applicable material safety data sheets, personal protective equipment, and facility response planning, special prevention control countermeasures, plans, the hazardous waste and hazardous material management policy, the DA Form 385, 3853-1, engage sheeting using engage tape and bob, the DA Form 3853-2, outgauge sheet and using engage tape and bob, DA Form 3853-3, outgauge sheet and using outgauge tape of the bob, and full access to any reference of material loading, unloading water barges, tankers without injury and personal damage to equipment and pollution of the environment. Danger: do not perform this task during electrical storms. Perform the task currently may result in damage to the equipment, injury to death and personnel. No, if in the task is which any task involving existing handling of the petroleum problem, make sure the equipment is on the hand of the contain and cleaning up the spills, unpacking, inspection, position of the equipment, and convenient access to before beginning the task. Remove the requirements of the task before even ensuring the drip pans, wasteful containers are as appropriate size and contain the waste fuel generated by the task. Use the drip pans in any point of that the spill is likely to occur, such as valves and nozzles. Continually observe equipment to take care when the performing task and minimizes possibility of petroleum spills. If spills occur, immediately stop operation. Take steps to contain and clean up the spills. Report all spills immediately to your supervisor. 1. Inspecting preparing facilities for loading and unloading procedures. Apply the risk management procedures. Understand and execute the risk management process. Risk controls, control guidance directed by the headquarters. Assess variable hazards. Continuous reporting risk and risk reduction measures appropriate to the chain of the command. 2. Employ the environmental stewardship protection program measures according to the task 101 92 F 1413. Read, understand unit installation, standing operation procedures, operation orders, OPRD requiring requisition, storing, handling, and disposition of hazardous waste materials. 4. Where appropriate, personal protective equipment as required. Caution gloves, hearing protection goggles need to be worn while performing any fuel operation. Check to see the vessels are properly moored. Ensure the moored lines are taut enough to hold the vessel steady, but loosened enough to allow the vessel to rise and fall the tides of varying loads. Watch and adjust the lines during the load and unloading procedures. Ensure mooring lines of manila rope and synthetic fiber, which can be cut as an emergency release. 6. Ground vessel to dock. Inspect ground systems continually. Make sure the ground switch is on. The ground cable is attached to the bare metal spot on the hull of the vessel. Make sure that all ground connections are tight. Close the ground switch. Prepare the operational spills. Prepare for operational spills. Review local contingency plan or the standard operation procedure for requirements dealing with the catastrophic spills as well as routinely operational cleanup. Require appropriate equipment for containing cleanup and spills. These include such items as drip pan containers, absorbent float booms, chemical dispersion, skim boats, and other specialized equipment such as local availability. Assign responsibility of appropriate number of the personnel to handle spills and drill spill cleanup crews and spills prevention and cleanup procedures. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment such as goggles, hearing protection, chemical protective gloves. Inspect gauge and special valves and tanks preload. Prior to loading, inspection valves. Plan to order which products should be delivered. Inspect the hulls of the vessel damaged and leaks. Inform the supervisor when damaged leaks are found. Examine the pipelines, pumps, and deck manifolds and leaks for damages. Inform the supervisor when leaks the damage is found. Open the valves of the cargo load except for the sea suction valves from the outside of the tank. Watch in the drain of the cargo tanks. Make sure the cargo lines are completely drained. Inspect the interior of the cargo tanks using the explosion-proof flashlight. Look for the holdover product residue, water, mud, scale, rust, other contaminants. Inform the supervisor if any contamination is found. Check the ship log to determine the last cargo carried. Make sure all fire safety and environmental protection precautions have been taken. B. Prior to loading and unloading, determining all ullage, temperatures, API, gravities, water soundings, and innage and outage tank gauges in vessels compartments and record them in the DA Form 3853-1, 3853-2, DA Form 3854-3. These forms would depend on the gauging methods used in the gauge tanking U.S. following the procedure. Repeat gouging of the two readings at the same ground static electricity, placing the bare hand on the tank shell handrail before the gauging tank. Open the gauging hand hatch on the windward side. Landing on the guide, plant for in one is available. Keep the tape against the gauge hatch at all times to avoid the buildup of the static electricity. Take all gauge readings at nearest of 1/8 of an inch. Wipe the tape clean, dry at each use. Take the product and temperature immediately before you use. After you gauging, the volume can be corrected to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Allow much of the time the possible water solids bubbles and settle in the gauging and avoiding the fresh stock of the storage in ship. The shore discharge of the tanks may be gauged after the product and heat settle for 30 minutes. Gauge all the incoming deliveries of the water before the product is received. Drain off any of the water found in the tanker cars or tank vehicles before discharging the product. Never measure the product in any tank during an electrical storm. Use innage taping in the bobbage. Innage tape in the bob of the innage gauge. Review the last innage gauge sheet posted to determine expected product level prior to the gauging of the tank. Place the product indicating the paste of on tape when product cut is the expected unmarked side of the tape against the metal rim of the gauging hatch at the reference point. Lower the tape of the bob and tank until it's a short distance from the bottom. Unwind and slowly until the bob touches the tank at the bottom of the datum plate. Make sure the bob does not rest in the river or other obstruction. Make sure the bob is not resting in the bottom of the tank. Withdraw the tape. Quickly observe the product of the cut. Record the cut of the inner gauge. Cut is hard to read in the product, indicating the paste on the tape. Go to the identical readings to make sure the measure is correct. 11. Use the innage tape and bob and for an out gauge for an out-of-age gauge. Place unmarked side of the tape against the metal rim gauge and hatching of the reference point. Lower tape of the bob into the tank until the bob touches the surface of the product. Wait until the bob stops moving. Lower the tape slowly until the bottom of the bob is 2 or 3 inches below the surface. Record reading of the tape of the reference between the tape of the reading. Withdraw the tape of the quickly. Record the product of the cut on the bob of the reading to get the out gauge. Subtract the bob reading of the tape gauge to convert the out gauge into gauge. Subtracting out gauge for the reference of the height of the tank. 12 is usage out of age tape and bob. Hold unmarked side of the tape against the metal rim of the gauge, hatching at the reference point. Lower the tape at the bottom into the bottom of the tape, touches the surface of the product. Wait until the bob stops moving. Lower the tape slowly into the bob and is 2 to 3 inches and below the surface product. Record the reading on the tape and on the reference point. Withdraw the tape quickly and record the product cut on the bob and the bob's reading. If the product cut is hard to see, the product indicating the pace on the bob of the gauge and the tank again. Add the bob readings of the tape of the reading of to the out gauge. Subtract the out gauge of the reference height of the tank and convert the out gauge to the inner gauge. Determine the bottom of the sediment of the water. BSW. Bottom sediment water. But put a thin, even coat of water indicating pace of on the water. Put a thin, even coat of water indicating pace on the bar of the bob that will point at whether the water or product metal the depth of the water is greater than the length of the bob. Use the water gauge bar. Performance and steps. Hold the side of the tape against the metal rim gauge and hatch as reference point. Lower the tape of the bob into the tank until the bob is short distance from the bottom. Determine one this and comparing the length of the unwound tape within the reference of the height of the tank. Unwind the tape slowly until the top of the bob touches the tank bottom of the datum plate. Make sure the bob is not caught in obstruction. Do not unwind tape so that the bob will tilt and cause the incorrect reading. Keep the tape in bob engaged in position in 5 to 10 seconds for kerosene, gasoline, and other light products. Keep in position for 15 to 30 seconds for heavier products. Before loading operation begins, remove the ballast of the vessel tanks. Determine the amount of the ballast to be pumped ashore. Make sure that the shore tanks have enough ullage to hold it. Connect one of the ballast hoses to the ballast pipeline connection on the dock. Connection to other end of the ballast to the stripping connection on the deck. Open the valves and board the vessel to empty the desired tank. Open the correct shores to permit the pumping of the ballast tank. Start striping pump. Watch the pressure gauge to make sure the upper valves are open. Is pressure higher than normal in line? Be blocked. Do not transfer ballast water product at the same time unless there is an emergency. Continue pumping until all possible ballast water is removed from the vessel. After the ballast is removed, stop the pump, close the shore of the valves, and the ballast will not drain the back end of the vessel lines. Open the valves in the cargo lines except for the C-suction to observe the line of the drainage to the cargo tanks. They must make sure the cargo lines are drained completely. Make sure each tank is free of the ballast and suitable to receive the product. 9. Gauge. C performance measure 4. C shore tank C task 10192 F1403 prior to loading and unloading. Noting this is necessary to correct and measured quantity to the quantity at the standard temperature of 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Volume correct quantities according to AR 710. 2. Prepare the DA form 3853-1, DA form 3853-2, DA form 3853 depending on the gauge method used. Fill out the information DA form 3853-1 using the table 36 and DA form 3853-2 using table 37, and fill out the information in DA form 3853-3 using the same information on table 37. Table 36, DA Form 3853 entries. The unit from the block title information entitled the unit, enter the company operating the tank farm date, enter the gauging date and time, enter the gauging time, location, enter the location and storage active, the API gravity of the product, opening and closing inventory, check the block of the type of the gauge, tank the number, enter the tank of the identification number, nominal tank capacity, enter the storage of the tank size, product and grade, enter the type of the product in the tank, for example, diesel fuel, and GP jet plane fuel. 8. Tape the reading and lining reading. Enter the product reading of the tape for the tape in the feet and the inches. Line 1. Tape reading volumetric equivalent. Line 1. Enter the gallons of product strapping the chart based on the tape of the reading. Bob reading and linear liner reading. Line 2. Enter the height of the weight water of the bob in the feet and inches. Bob reading volumetric equivalent. Line 2. Enter the gallons and water sediment for the strapping of the charts using the linear reading. Net volume of the product. Subtract the volumetric equivalent from line 2 and from line 1, uncorrected for the temperature. For net volume product, uncorrected for the temperature, line 3. Average temperature. Record the temperature of the product degrees Fahrenheit in the linear column. Multiplier, line 5. Enter the temperature conversion multiplier in the linear reading column. Net quantity for the product, line 6. Multiply line 3 and line 5 by line 5. Enter the volume in voltmetric at 60 degrees equivalent. Remarks. Enter the sample number at any samples taken at any other remarks required for the local policy. Name of the grade. Type the print in the grade operation officer. Name of the grade in gauger. Type the print in the grade of the gauger. Signature operation officer, self-explanatory. Signature of the gauger, self-explanatory. 3.7 DA form 3853 and DA form 3853 entries. Unit. Enter the company operating the tank farm date. Enter the gauging date. Time. Entering the gauging time. Location. Enter the tank farm location. API gravity of the product. Open, closing inventory. Checking the type of the gauging. Tank normal. Enter the tank identification number. Nominal tank capacity. Enter the capacity of the tanker in barrels. Product grade. Enter the type of the product. For example, diesel fuel 2 or jet plane fuel 8. Tape the reading. Enter the product reading in the tape in feet, inches in the linear reading column. Broad line 2. Bob line cut line 2. Enter product reading bob in inches in the linear reading column. Reference height. Enter the reference height of the tank in the feet in the inches. Out gauge. Enter the length of the outage to line 1 minus line 2 in the feet in the inches linear reading column. Inch. Enter the length of the inch line minus line 3 minus line 4 in feet of the 4 the feet inches linear reading column. Convert the linear reading to a volume in gallons. Enter the number of the volume column. Bottom sediment and water. Enter the reading of the bob inches in the linear reading column. Convert the readings of the volume gasoline using the tank stripping chart. Entering the number of the volume column. Number of the net volume of the product corrected for temperature. Subtract the volume readings of line 6 and line 5. Enter the number of the volume column. Average temperature, line 8. Enter the average temperature to the product degrees in Fahrenheit into the linear reading column. Multiplier. Enter the temperature conversion multiplier. And multiply line 7 by 9. Enter the quantity of volume column for the net quality of the product at 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Remarks. Enter the sample number of samples taken at any other comments requiring local capacity. Name of the grade of the operation officer's printed tape. It's printed and typed in grade of the operational officers. Performance steps. Check 11. Check valves, hose, and leaks in operational readiness. Operate the hose valve to check servability. Inspection hose cracks, excessive wear, fraying. Replace unserviceable hoses. Inspect hoses for the contamination. Clean, replace contaminated hoses depending on the nature of the contamination product of the bee pump. Make sure the enough hoses do allow the slack of the tightness and weather and hose layout. Place caution signs on the conspicuous location of the docks post. No smoking, no littering, no damage, no danger of the vesseling, handling, petroleum signs, traffic direction, danger markers on the dock. Post no fires, no smoking, no visitor signs on the vessel gangway while the product isn't being transferred. Enter the vessel displays red flag day, red light night during the transfer operations. Connecting cargo hoses. Make sure the vessel is grounded to the dock manifold before any of the hoses are connected. Recheck the hoses serviceability plate. The drain pits and shipper dock connections. After hoses to hose support. Attach hose ships hoist and raise into the position to connect the ship into manifold. Connect the use of at least 4 alloy steel bolts or at least 2 bolts of C-clamps if C-clamps are used. Keep the hose suspended above the deck during the transfer operation. Prepare the cargo prior to pumping if required. 15. Open appropriate shores and values. Pump it at low speed operating and determine the pump operation is going to be planned. Observe the pressure gauge. The sudden to increase the closed valve and block hoses. Decrease in pressure ruptured line linkage. Observe valves and ensure the maintaining the proper trim and the sufficient. Observe the vessels to ensure and maintain the proper trim and sufficient draft. Adjust the mooring loads, hose, and the movement of the vessels. Once the operator determine the operation of the normal, the product of the feet and 3 feet of the inlet and unloading before pumping in the product at the maximum allowable rate. As the tank reaches 90% full, to slow the pump up to the top of the tanks. If the electric storm is within 3 miles, immediately stop all the transfer operations, close all the valves, and immediately the hazard disconnect the drain and the transfer hoses. Perform the basic operation of preventive maintenance check services and start pumps. C-Tech asks 10192 F 1415. Observe the hose connections, line connections, valves, leaks. Stop operations, repairs, leaks immediately as they occur. Stop loading and unloading operations. Close all lines and shut down the pumps. Gases sample shore tanks. C-Tech asks 10192 F 1403. Convert all volume to volume 60 degrees. Gauge sample vessel. C says 10192 F 1403 as necessary. Good night. I will. Alright, convert all volumes to volume 60 degree Fahrenheit. Evaluation preparation, C tasks and standards applied to risk management procedure, go or no go, employed environmental stewardship protection program measures according to the task 10192 F 1413, go or no go, reading understanding of unit installation and ending operation procedure, operation order requirements of the requisition, storing, handling, disposition of hazardous material, go or no go. 4. Where appropriate, protective personnel equipment as required, go or no-go. Inspector prepared facilities, loading and unloading operations, go or no-go. Ground vessel to the dock, go or no-go. Prepared operational spills, go or no-go. Inspector gauge or sample vessel tanks, go or no-go. Gauge sample shore tanks in the loading and unloading, go or no-go. Perform DA Form 3853 1, DA Form 3853 2, DA Form 3853, depending on the gauge of the method used, go or no-go. Check to the valve and the hoses for leaks in the operational readiness, go to no-go. Places and casualty caution signs, just conspicuous locations on the dock, go or no-go. Connected cargo hoses, can go or no-go. Preheated cargo prior to the pumping, if required, go or no-go. Open appropriate shores and vessels, go or no-go. Performed before operational preventive maintenance check services and started pumps, go or no-go. Observed all hoses, lines, connection valves for leaks, stopped operations, repaired leaks immediately as they occur, go or no-go. Closed all valve lines, shutdowns, and go or no-go. Gauges short or sample shore tanks, converted all valves or volumes to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Go age sample vessels tanks as necessary, converted all volumes of the volume for 60 degrees, go or no go. Alright, evaluation Gordon of the soldier is a performance measure made by the soldier no-go if performance measure was failed. If the soldier scores a no-go, shows the soldier was doing the wrong and how did he correct it. DA Forms 3853, 1, 2, and 3, DOD issuance 414025M, FM 106071, AR 201, AR 710-2, Field Manual 3, 112, Field Manual 3, 104. Perform refuel on the move operations. Okay, perform review on the move operations condition given the requirement to perform the fuel operations in field environment. Personnel materials required. Perform the task 9 military occupational specialist qualified 92 F soldiers. ROM kit 5,000 gallon tank semesters. Fuel source 550 foot long by 150 foot wide and spill contingency kit, risk management procedures, applicable material safety data sheets, personal protective equipment, facility response plan, spill prevention control measure plan, and unit hazardous material waste management policy, and unit tactical standing operational procedure, oil written operations at OPORD, DA form 2404, equipment inspection maintenance worksheet, DA form 5988. AE, Equipment Inspection Maintenance Worksheet, DA Form 3643, daily issue of petroleum products, fully access to all reference materials. This area courses new enemy contacts and suspected vehicles to refueled on hand. Standards layout resemble to perform the operator's preventive maintenance service. Preventive maintenance check services, operating, maintaining the full accountability record. Disassemble the ROM without damage to the equipment and injury personnel. Danger failure to perform the task correctly may result in damage to equipment, injury, death, and personnel. Warning: due to the safety consideration, normal vehicle refueling is done with the engine off. AR 3855 385-55 states the commander will apply to all normal safety standards with the operation unless necessary to change due to the mission. During the mission training situation, changes to be authorized only by the commander. Commanders will evaluate significantly assumed reverses to the training of the benefit. The combat operational commanders will make the decision based on the missions, enemy terrain, troops, and time available civilian consideration. METTTC risk analysis. Performance steps. And notice the note: in this task, any of the tasks involving exclusive handling of the petroleum products, make sure the equipment is handled on the containing the clips, clean up, spill, unpacking, and inspecting position of the equipment, convenient access before the beginning of the task, reviewing the requirements of the task before beginning the task. Review the requirements of the requirements of the task before performing it into review the requirements for the task before performing to ensure drip pans, wasteful containers of appropriate size to contain the wasteful nozzles containing observe equipment to take care of the well, performing the task to minimize possibility of petroleum spills. If the spill occurs, immediately stopping the operations, taking the step at the top, stop to clean up the spills, reporting spills immediately to the supervisor, wear the appropriate protective equipment such as goggles, chemical protective goggles, hearing protection, identify applicable references, military safety data sheets. Apply risk management under the procedures, understanding, execute risk management procedures, risk controls, commanding guidance directed to the higher headquarters, assess variables, hazards, continuously reported risk reduction measures appropriate to the chain of command, employ environmental stewardship protection program measures according to Task 10192 F14 13. Read and understand the installation. Read and understand the unit installation standard operation or the requirement of the operating procedure, requiring the requisition, storing, handling, and disposition of hazardous material, wearing the protective personnel equipment as required, giving hearing protection goggles needed to be worn, performing any fuel operation type. Before, during, and after operations, preventing maintenance checklist PMCS on the system components according to the appropriate technical manuals. And note the DA Form 2404 and the DA Form 598E, 88E, 599, 88E, and will perform the performance maintenance checklist. Assemble the ROM quit spot 5,000 gallon tanker is designated the ground tanker space. Place spill containing fire extinguisher in position. Make all necessary connections. Connect 3 4-inch by 14-inch sections of the discharge hose to the 14-inch discharge fitting of the tanker. Connect 4 by 4 by 4 inches T assembly to the end of the discharge hose. Connect the 4 by 3 inch female or to the male reducer to the T assembly. Connect 3 by 4 inch double male adapter to the T assembly. Perform the before the operation of the preventive mass service checklist services on the tanker pump and the gauge tankers. E. Consecutively lay out the assembly 8 of the rule fuel points. Connect 3 by 3 1.5-inch T assemblies as a quick acting valve assembly. Connect the 20-foot 1 by 1.5-inch hose as a quick acting valve and assembly. Connect the 1.5-inch hose assembly to the end of the 2-foot 20-foot 1.5-inch hose connecting the spill container under the nozzle. Fire the extinguisher near it. Connect the 1-inch 3-inch 50-foot section of the discharge hose to the 3-inch T assembly. Connect the 1-inch 1 by 1 3-inch 25-foot section in the discharge hose of the 50-foot section. Ground and hanging on all nozzles. Check the system for leaks, loose connections, safety hazards. Operate the ROM crit. Place the spill container under the nozzle of the vehicle. Connect the bonding wire to the vehicle being fueled before inserting the nozzle. Single non-commissioned officer in charge of the NCOIC for the refueling can begin. On the signal of the NCOIC, a short and pump the predetermined time stop system immediately the leak occurs. When refueling complete, remove the nozzle of the vehicle, refer to the removing of the bonding, remove the spill container of the under nozzle part of the vehicle, ground guide vehicle of the refueling areas, recorded, issue the DA Form 3643 daily issued for petroleum products according to the DA Form Pamphlet 710-21, cleaning up all spill immediately in accordance with the local procedure and environmental protection. Disassemble ROM, closed discharge valve with 5,000 gallon tanker. Evacuate hose line. Disconnect hose and discharge to the side of the tanker. Ensure the drip pans are placed in to prevent the fuel slippage. Connect the hose to the suction side of the tanker. Start the pump and the open suction valve to create the suction through the hose. Hold the nozzle open at the refuel points. Once hose has been evacuated, choose all quick action valves. Loading and stacking equipment. Disassemble the hose in reverse order. Assembly stow or the hose and other equipment in the trailers according to the load plan. Check the site of the spill fuel. Collect all fuel, contaminated soil, other contaminated materials, waste from fuels, dispose of the environmental safe manners in accordance with the local policy, report any of the spill in accordance with the procedures established in an ISCP unit of the SOP. Complete DA Form 2404 and DA Form 5982-8E and DA Form 3643 turn on the supervisor. 1. Performance risk. Applied risk management from go or no-go employed environmental stewardship protection program measures according to task 101 and 2 F 1413, go or no go. Read, understand unit installation, standing operation procedure, operating orders, requirements of requisition, storing, handling, and opposition or disposing of the hazardous material. Go or no go. Where appropriate protective personnel equipment is required. Go or no go. Perform during and after operation, preventing maintenance checks, services on system components according to the appropriate technical manuals and noted in DA Form 2404, DA Form 5988E, and any faults found in the performance of the performance maintenance check service. 6. Assembled ROM kit, go or no go. Operated ROM kit, go or no go. Disassembled ROM kit, go or no go. 9. Completed DA Form 2404, DA Form 5988E, and DA Form 3643 turned into the supervisor, go or no go. Evaluation scores score with the soldier go, and then all performance measures are passed. Soldiers are no go in the performance measure. If the soldier scores a no go, the soldier was done wrong and how to do it correctly. Required FM 1061, TM 54930233710, TM 92320279910, and related AR 201, DA PAM 71021, and field manuals 3, 112, and 4. Alright, I guess we're gonna take a break here on page 69.